Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday, also known as Almost Friday. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe. And if you are joining us live on Behance this morning, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever it is in your part of the world. And hello to Andy and Nathaniel. And Paco is in the house right over there. Gus Spot and Carlos and Michael Crabtree, one of our awesome Adobe Live guests. Kelton, and everyone else who's joining us here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm streaming live today from lovely San Francisco. Next week I'll be back in hopefully still lovely Los Angeles. So what do we have planned for today? Well, we're going to continue on what we've been riffing off of. So last week we started with a pet store website, which, we started with the navigation. We went on to top products, covered a lot of different things. And we really want to figure out what the pain points are on, websites like this. What can help a user navigate the website better or have a better experience? So let me hop over to my screen, and this is the Daily Creative Challenge landing page. I know I'll probably never pronounce it right. It's Sun. I give up. I'm terrible with names, but Larissa is from Brazil, and Lam is from Vietnam. Daniel, or his name is Daniel, I guess. And Jennifer is here. Good morning, everyone. Nathaniel from Connecticut. Awesome. Sacramento. Cool. So this is the Daily Creative Challenge landing page, and the big blue register button at the top is no longer a big blue register button because, tomorrow's the last day. I'm sad, but we're gonna have many more Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenges coming up very soon. But you can join us on Slack. So hit that button, join us on Slack. The link, he says Seltsun. Did I get it right? Seltsun? I don't know, I give up. I'll get it one day, I promise. I'm gonna make it my goal to make sure I get everyone's name correct because I love the community, I love it. Kelly from Canada. See, I even messed up Kelly's name. How does someone mess up Kelly's name? Anyways, join us on Slack, bit.ly/XD Slack. Make sure you capitalize the X and the D, and Slack is just, did I get it right? I think I got it right. Yes. All right. So every day you're gonna receive a challenge, and again, we started last Tuesday, and you're gonna join me at 8:30 in the morning every single day to kick things off, and then you're gonna use Adobe XD to design and prototype whatever that thing is. And we'll get into today's thing in a second. Oh gosh, try pronouncing my name. I'm not even gonna try that one. Nope, not happening. So you have until March 29th, which is tomorrow, to complete all of your magical entries. But as I've mentioned, every single day, we're doing this to help you build up your skills, learn new things. Maybe you've never used Adobe XD before. I saw many of you have never touched it starting on this challenge. So it's a good way to really learn something new, attract new clients, publish your magical stuff to Behance, whatever it might be. So if you need a few extra days past tomorrow, definitely take a few extra days. And you can also revisit this stuff. So if you do want us to see it, and we're gonna be reviewing a lot of these things tomorrow morning. And I say we, because there might be somebody else. Maybe, we'll see. So, even if you publish it tomorrow, you can always go back and make changes. That's the beauty of Behance. So, what else do we have going on? So here is the button for XD. You can grab it completely for free. You can also join us on Slack, as I've mentioned before. So today, we are going to be tackling the mobile experience. Yeah, Howard needs a longer time slot. We have so much going on with Adobe Live and everything. Maybe one day I'll just get 24/7 me, just designing all day, every day. That'll be terrifying. We're gonna be tackling the mobile experience. And of course, we only have, half an hour, 20 minutes. So we're not gonna do the whole mobile experience. We're gonna get to as much as possible. I'm gonna show you how responsive resize works, some tips and tricks to make it work a little bit better. And if you don't wanna use responsive resize, how you can start a mobile project from scratch. So, what do I have here? So make sure to use the keyword XD Daily Challenge on Behance so we can search it. And I do wanna just highlight one entry that came in from yesterday. Again, yesterday was the rate experience, and this was from Misfar. And I thought this was just super cute. cats and smiley faces. There's a drag slider, there's smiley face, well, this is a sad face. There's a smiley face, and there's a very happy smiley face. And you can drag the cat to where you want it. I thought that was incredibly cute. So let's get into this. Let me hop over to Adobe XD, and this is what we've been working on. This is most of what we've been working on. As I mentioned, I think a few days ago, the file I was working on back in Los Angeles, I left it in Los Angeles. I forgot to save it to the cloud. Bad Howard. So I had to redo a bunch of it. So here's the homepage for this pet website. Here's the shopping cart experience with the subscribe and save. We also have this massive, very sort of cute, and I don't know what you want to call this. Let me know in the chat what you call this style of this cat. But you know, this massive subscribe and save banner that's going to pop up in your face. And as I mentioned, it's probably, and someone mentioned, it's probably a little bit too big. So, you know, make it a little bit smaller. And then yesterday we tackled the rate experience. All right, so mobile. How do we tackle mobile? Well, there's a few ways we can do this. We can either just grab the artboard tool over to the left and then, you know, select a mobile device over here to the right. And let's say you wanted an iPhone 10s, 10R/10X mass. There's too many letters in this. I can't with these letters. You can press that and you've got an artboard for the iPhone 10, right? It is a modal, yes. So I don't use the word modal too often because a lot of people don't know what the word modal means, but modal pops up boop, in your face. So here's an artboard, and you could go ahead and just start copying elements. So let's say I wanted this navigation bar, I can just copy that. Maybe I can select all these items here, copy, hop over here, and paste. But this is, you know, it's a painful process because you have to do this for every single item. And things are just not gonna line up. Things are gonna be all over the place. So let me show you, before we get into this, let me show you how responsive resize works. And just as, boop in your face, yes. Just as a disclaimer, responsive resize will get you about 80% of the way there. It'll probably never get you 100% of the way there because even though the algorithms are very good, they're not perfect. And also your creative direction, it's not gonna know exactly what creative direction you want. Do you want your repeat grids to hang off the side of the artboard, or do you want the repeat grids to collapse? It doesn't really know that, right? So let's duplicate this artboard down the screen. Here we go. And by default, responsive resize is off. And you can notice that over here to the right, and that will just allow users to pull the artboard down to make it scrolling, or pull it over here to make it a little bit larger, right? But when the time comes and you want to adjust your artboard for a mobile design, you turn responsive resize on right over here to the right. Boop, there we go. Let me actually move this over just so we can have a nice experience. There we go. And now all you have to do is just drag this inwards. Now, you're gonna notice a few things. You're gonna notice, one, it's not perfect. It does an okay job, but you know, it collapses the repeat grids. It's starting to collapse the footer. But there's a lot of elements that are kind of being squished. There's a lot of things that just don't look right. And there's some elements that are not being moved at all. And that's where restraints and constraints, not restraints, could be constraints, I don't know. That's where constraints come into play. So let's say these here, these menu items, I don't want them to squish on top of each other. One way to solve that is in your layers panel, just make sure they're all grouped together. So I'm gonna select all the elements that make up this little navigation bar, Command and Control G, and this I'm gonna name menu items. Perfect. And maybe these ones here, I might also want part of a group. I believe it's all of these, group, and these will be icons. Maybe, let's say, left icons. There we go. So now those are all part of a group. So you're basically telling XD that once responsive resize starts happening, to keep everything together. These all belong together, right? Maybe the search bar, you actually want it to squish a little bit. So over here to the right, you're gonna turn on manual, and right now fix width is on. So that's telling XD that when responsive resize happens, that it's not gonna squish inwards. But in this case, we want it to squish inwards. So I'm gonna press this to turn off fixed width, right? Now, the opposite can be said for, or maybe the same can be said for the carousel. We might want to turn off fixed width if it's not. We're going to turn off the constraint on the right, and we're going to dive into this. So we're going to grab the image in the background, make sure fixed width is not turned on. I'll turn off these. Fixed height is not turned on. We probably also want to turn off fixed height for the overall group as well. And I'm going to make sure that all of these elements are inside of group, just like this. And this will be, I don't know, text. And I'm probably going to, because I don't want a carousel on my mobile design, I'm going to just delete all these little elements just to make our mobile design a little bit easier, a little bit simpler. Great. Now for the footer, we probably want all of these elements. We want to make sure these are all in a group so they stay together and they don't squish. Links, there we go. This stuff should be in a group already. It is, perfect. All right, things are looking good. So now, once we actually start responsively resizing this artboard, things should start moving nicely together. Again, won't be perfect, about 80%, but it'll get us a nice way there. So with that artboard selected, I'm simply going to start dragging this in. And you're noticing things are now moving. The header image at the top is scaling. The text is not, so we can fix that with constraints. But also the menu items are not getting squished, and those icons are not getting squished. So everything's kind of nicely moving together. Again, not perfect, but it's getting there, right? So let me undo. I can grab the group of the text, turn manual, make sure fixed width and height are not turned on. There we go. And let's do this one more time. Just drag this inwards just like that. Perfect. All right. Again, not perfect, but now we can go in and make some changes. So maybe I want to get rid of this logo, because we probably don't need a logo there, right? Maybe this will be moved over to the right. I can grab this group. I can still responsively resize these icons, move these over to the right. And maybe we don't need the text. So I'll just delete the text. Whoops. Delete cart. There we go. I can responsively resize groups just like this, move some things around, and menu items will move in the center. Or maybe to the left. That looks okay. Alrighty. It's going to, yeah, Nathaniel, I'm sorry, we only have like 25 minutes to create a whole mobile experience, so it's difficult. But I'm doing my best. And you can always rewatch it, you can always pause it. I'll make this dog a little bit bigger. And I can move this text around a little bit. I can responsively resize the group like this. Make this a little bit smaller. I can probably make the button a little bit smaller. There we go. And you're probably getting the gist of this, right? This puppy is so cute. There we go. All right. Perfect. Things are looking good. So now at this point, I didn't group this, so I can just move this around, move that up, move this over. I could probably delete this because we're probably not going to have a chat overlay on a mobile website. And we have a few options with the repeat grid. We can either, drag this off over to the right and then adjust the padding. So that way you're kind of telling the user that they can slide left or right to get to additional items over that way, right? Or if you just want a full width experience, we can do this. We can jump into the repeat grid, select all the items that make up this card, hold down Shift to enlarge, just like this. And things are getting a little bit crazy right now, but if I go back, click off and go back into the repeat grid, I can essentially just drag this over and then collapse that repeat grid. So now we just have one item on the page and just drag this down, just like this. That looks pretty good. So now that we have one item pretty much full width, might have someone's mentioning a hamburger menu. Yes, we should probably add a hamburger menu because we're on mobile, everyone needs a hamburger menu, and I'm hungry, right? And I can drag this down, just have a bunch of items going down the page, and I'll want to make sure that the footer is at the top of my layer stack, just like that. All right. And now we also need to enable scrolling. So we have the, let's say, we have the scroll viewport height here. Maybe we'll want it right about here. Do we even need a footer on a mobile site? Probably not, so I'm gonna delete that. Why not, right? And I can double click on the artboard and just drag this, make sure responsive resize is turned off at this point, and just drag this down so I have my scrolling. Beautiful. And if I press play at the top, I can scroll down and see all the lovely items. And of course, we'd probably add a navigation bar. There's probably a lot of different things we would add to this. We'd probably adjust a few things like these. You're noticing the spacing is a little bit off. So I can, let's say, move this one inwards a little bit, select all three of these, and pop this button right here, which is the align or distribute horizontally, right? Boop, there we go. And now they're all distributed horizontally. And if we take a look at, let's say, Chewy's website, here's Chewy's website, and if I go to my developer tools, change it to an iPhone, we can see what that looks like on mobile. Let me drag this in. So basically the search bar takes up the entire width of the device, which, you know, I would assume they want you to search for products. They also have two little icons up here and a hamburger menu. So if we wanted to do something similar to that, maybe we don't even need these menu items. Let me hide this for now. We can grab the search, make it essentially the full width, and because responsive resize is turned on, all the elements are moving nicely. And if I do it from this side, you know, spoil your pet, the text is kind of moving along with it. So we can do that. Move these menu items just up a little bit. And just kind of work all this into place. Maybe move this up. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. Move this over. Responsive resize. It just makes your life that much easier. And then a hamburger menu, super simple. Grab your line tool. Draw out a line across. We'll make it white. Make it a little bit thicker. And we'll round out the corners a little bit. Duplicate. You can also do a repeat grid. Command and Control R. Make 3 going down. Fancy. There we go. And if I have to, if I can always jump in, make it a little bit shorter. There we go. Now we have a hamburger menu. Now we're all hungry, right? I'm hungry. Move it down. Great. All right, so there we go. If I press play one more time, we've got, you know, there's a few things we have to change. It's all part of the experience. There we go. So in just a few minutes, we've basically converted our desktop site into a mobile site with responsive resize and a few other things. And then you can start tackling the other pages. So now that the kind of structure is okay, even though there are a few things I would definitely change about this, the structure is, Brandon's stomach is growling. Yes, mine too. But we can duplicate this artboard over here. And let's start deleting some elements that we probably don't need. We don't need these, we don't need this, this, this. So now that we have just basically our navigation bar at the top, let me go ahead and collapse this. Now we can start the other pages. So let's say we wanted the shopping cart experience. We'll grab this element here, all this stuff, copy, hop over here, paste it, make sure all of this is in a group. It looks like it is. And because responsive resize is turned on, a lot of this stuff moves really nicely across our page. And there's very little work I have to do. Of course, if some of the names are longer, I might have to change that. So there might be some things you might have to do to accommodate mobile a little bit better. You know, maybe instead of having the name go beside the image, you might want it underneath it. So you might want to grab this image, make it a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter, and then move this down here, move this over here, and all of a sudden you have a lot more room for the name of the product and some delivery information underneath it. Maybe I don't want the rounded corners, super round. Maybe I'll just have a nice and sharp, just like that. And I can continue. I'll grab this stuff here, copy, pop over here, paste, make sure everything is grouped, and responsive resize is turned on, and I just move this in. And you're noticing all that stuff beautifully shifts across the document, and I can make some changes if I need to. Move this inwards a little bit. Perfect. And we'll do one more. Where did it go? There we go. grab all this stuff, copy, paste, and do the exact same thing like we just did. Whoop, bam, beautiful. All right, gonna make sure that this is lined up a little bit, and we'll definitely have to increase the size of our artboard, so I'm gonna double click on a blank area and just bring this down like that. And I do need to grab my purchase button right there. And of course, because you're designing for mobile, you'll probably want to add an Apple Pay option or something like that. So I would encourage you to get creative with this. And you probably want to adjust the spacing, like this, for example, probably needs to be moved in a little bit. So I'll just do some very simple adjustments, just like this. And again, responsive resize helps tremendously in situations like this. There we go. Perfect. And the final thing we'll tackle, even though this design isn't that great, it's fine, but it's not beautiful, we'll tackle a quick navigation bar. So on this artboard, we have our viewport right here. I'll grab my rectangle and just draw one out just like this. Right? Just like that. I will use my eyedropper tool to select this blue. Probably turn off the border, or I can set a very subtle border that's very similar to this blue, but a little bit lighter. There we go. And now we need some icons. So I'm gonna hop over to Nucleo for a second. And we'll grab, let's say, a home icon. There we go, we'll drag this in. We'll set this to white. We'll do 45 pixels. All right, maybe a shopping cart icon. That one looks fancy. Also set that to white. 45, and let me know in the chat, what other icons do we need for a website like this? Like if we go back to Chewy, they do not have a navigation bar, but we're gonna add one. So we probably also want a user icon, kind of like the one that's up there. You know what, I'm just gonna copy that one. I'm gonna grab this user icon, copy it, whoops, paste it into my navigation bar. There it is. We'll make it 45. And I need one more icon. Maybe I'll make these a little bit bigger. Probably make this a little bit bigger. 60. Okay. So yeah, definitely let me know what other icons I need in a navigation bar like this. But in the meantime, I will place this one over here, this one on this side. And ideally, I'd probably make sure that these are lining up equally from the side. There we go. Probably just 3 icons. Okay, I'll stick with 3 icons. Okay, make sure that's centered. Perfect. Maybe I'll move these inwards just a little bit. Perfect. Now in my layers panel, I do want to make sure that all of this is in a group, and I'll call this navigation bar. And you'll notice when I do press play and I start scrolling, that navigation bar also moves up as well, which we don't want. So I'm going to select the navigation bar. Over here to the right, I'm going to turn on fixed position when scrolling. And then now I play one more time, you're going to notice it stays there in place. Now I'm looking at this now and the dimensions probably don't line up exactly. So there's a lot, and again, we only had about 25 minutes to put this together, but considering we did this in 25 minutes, not too bad. But if I did want to make the screen a little bit longer, I can just move this down a little bit, move my viewport height down a little bit. Let's say that looks pretty good right about there. So that's about 1850. Let's go 1850. Perfect. And if I press play one more time, we now have a much longer screen that looks more like a little bit of an iPhone. And I can just scroll down. And I can also, if I wanted to, this might be a little bit too much, but make sure my nav bar is at the top. Whoops. Make sure all of this stuff is grouped. Nav bar, make sure it's at the top. And I can fix the position as well. So that way we have the nav bar at the top and we have the nav bar at the bottom, all fixed into place. Again, not the most perfect design in the world, but I trust all of you. You'll have a lot more time than I had in today's stream to put together this awesome mobile experience based on the desktop experience we've been putting together. So that'll be it for today. Definitely stick around. We got a great day packed of UI and UX stuff. We got Melody coming up in just a few minutes with Erica, and I'll be back with John at 11, and then Melody and Camille will be back at 1. So I'll see you all tomorrow morning and at 11, and thanks for hanging out.